The spotlight was on Johannesburg as South Africa hosted the BRICS summit.
In the early 1990s, economists faced a disheartening scenario in the developing world as it struggled to achieve anticipated growth. Despite occasional success stories such as Singapore and South Korea ascending the income ladder, a prevailing narrative emerged, underscoring a substantial divide between advanced economies and the rest. Welcome to Live Economic News. Join us as we unravel the diverse factors shaping the economic landscapes of different African nations. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Live Economic News. However, a transformative shift occurred in the late 1990s that reshaped this narrative. During this period, global trade experienced a surge in growth, rapidly narrowing the gap between affluent nations and the rest of the world. This phenomenon led to a swift reduction in poverty levels, marking a significant departure from the earlier stagnation. The proportion of individuals living on less than $1.90 a day, adjusted for purchasing power parity, plummeted from a staggering 36% in 1990 to less than 10% by 2022. The positive trend extended to Africa, where the percentage of people living in extreme poverty decreased from 53% to 35%. Despite this progress, the sheer magnitude of population growth in Africa resulted in a numerical increase in the impoverished demographic. However, amidst this demographic challenge, Africa emerged as one of the fastest-growing economies globally over the past few decades. This growth, underscored by dynamic economic and social transformations, is garnering increasing attention on the global stage. Africa, once overlooked, is steadily positioning itself for a more substantial role in international affairs. The continent's economic resurgence is becoming harder to dismiss, signaling a shift in the global economic landscape. As Africa continues to undergo rapid changes, it is poised to contribute significantly to the global narrative, challenging previous notions of development and reinforcing its relevance on the world stage. In evaluating the economic landscape of African nations, a comprehensive matrix has been devised to categorize them based on their growth performance, offering insights into the factors influencing their trajectories. This analytical framework distinguishes countries into two primary groups: those experiencing robust growth at a rate of 5% or higher, and those with weaker growth below the 5% threshold. Within each growth category, economies are further stratified into three subgroups: non-resource-intensive countries, oil exporters, and other resource-intensive countries. Analysis spanning the period from 2013 to 2023 reveals that among the 41 countries under scrutiny, 18 have achieved commendable growth rates of 5% or more. Remarkably, these high-growth economies encompass a diversity of economic types, including non-resource-intensive, oil-exporting, and other resource-intensive nations. Notably, non-resource-intensive countries constitute the majority within this robust growth cohort, with 8 out of the 18 nations falling into this category. Delving into the question of why certain African countries are experiencing positive economic trends while others lag behind unveils a historical reliance on commodities as a driving force for economic growth in the region. The second critical lesson gleaned from African economic trajectories emphasizes the pivotal role of economic policies. In the early 1960s, Kenya and Tanzania, freshly independent, boasted comparable economies heavily reliant on agriculture, with nearly identical per capita incomes. Despite both initially adopting authoritarian one-party states, their divergence in economic models proved decisive. Tanzania pursued African socialism, nationalizing major companies and instituting collective farming. Conversely, Kenya embraced free markets, fostering investment and enacting regulatory reforms, notably establishing an export processing zone. Consequently, Kenyans now enjoy an 80% higher wealth than Tanzanians. A parallel narrative unfolds in Zimbabwe and Botswana, nations led by markedly distinct political figures. In the early 1980s, Zimbabwe surpassed Botswana in wealth. However, Zimbabwe's economic downfall ensued under President Robert Mugabe, marked by reckless currency printing, the seizure of farms for cronies, and authoritarian governance. In contrast, Botswana, under its first president Cyrus Kama, implemented an ambitious economic agenda pivoting towards an export-driven model centered around beef, copper, and diamonds. Kama's stringent anti-corruption measures contributed to Botswana's sustained economic growth. illustrating how judicious economic policies, coupled with governance strategies, significantly shape a nation's prosperity. The economic divergence between Botswana and Zimbabwe starkly underscores the impact of distinct policy choices, resulting in Botswana's current wealth being 9 times greater than that of Zimbabwe. However, delving deeper into the African economic landscape, an exceptional success story emerges in the form of Mauritius. This island nation, boasting one of the highest GDP per capita and Human Development Index (HDI) scores on the continent, stands as a testament to the transformative power of sound policies and robust institutions, exemplifying the potential for countries to enter a virtuous cycle of development. Historically, Nobel laureate James Meade had painted a pessimistic picture of Mauritius, envisioning it as trapped in a Malthusian cycle. Meade's predictions were based on factors such as heavy reliance on a sugar-based agricultural sector, susceptibility to trade shocks, rapid population growth, and escalating ethical tensions. Contrary to these projections, Mauritius not only maintained national stability and social cohesion, but also achieved remarkable economic growth. Dubbed the Mauritian economic miracle, the nation sustained an average annual economic growth rate of 5% between 1980 and 2000. The key driver behind this success was the strategic role of foreign direct investment, FDI, which catalyzed the transformation of Mauritius from a stagnant monocrop economy to one characterized by sustainable growth and development. While sensible economic policies played a crucial role, the Mauritian experience underscores that it takes more than just sound policies to foster economic prosperity. Numerous African countries attempted to bolster manufacturing by attracting foreign investors to export processing zones, yet only a handful, including Ethiopia, Lesotho, and South Africa, achieved success. This divergence emphasizes that trade and investment policies, though essential, constitute only one facet of the complex equation contributing to a nation's economic success. An equally critical element in Mauritius' triumph was the resilience of its institutions. These institutions, serving as the bedrock of the nation's economic and social framework, played a pivotal role in navigating challenges and sustaining long-term growth. The Mauritian example thus elucidates that a combination of prudent policies, strategic foreign investment, and resilient institutions forms a formidable recipe for success in the realm of economic development.
Nigeria's annual inflation rose to its highest level in nearly 2 decades in July at 24.08%.
Nigeria is strategically diversifying its economy, gradually reducing its dependence on oil exports.
Rwanda has moved forward since those dark days, both politically and economically.
Rwanda, on the other hand, is carving out a niche as a conference hub, attracting high-end tourists and fostering the growth of thriving business services firms. In Lesotho and Ethiopia, the focus is on establishing factories and creating Asian-style manufacturing hubs, demonstrating a concerted effort to participate in global value chains. While some economists express reservations about the prospects of replicating Asia's economic success due to factors like automation, competition, and evolving demand, there is a broader narrative unfolding in Africa. Not every economic advancement necessitates factory jobs. There's a dynamic shift from subsistence to commercial farming, and individuals are transitioning from living near game reserves to becoming tour guides. Since the colonial era, Africa's population has burgeoned from fewer than 100 million, constituting around 1/3 of Europe's population at the time, to nearly 2 Africans for every European today. This rapid population growth is viewed by some as a potential challenge, yet it is also a source of resilience and innovation. Despite a declining poverty rate, approximately 1/3 of African children still face malnutrition. Additionally, the continent witnesses the entry of approximately 1 million individuals into the job market each month. This demographic dynamism underscores the multifaceted nature of Africa's development, presenting both opportunities and challenges that require innovative solutions to harness the continent's immense potential and navigate its evolving economic landscape. A significant challenge facing Africa lies in the insufficient education and skills among a substantial portion of its population. Alarmingly, over 1/3 of African children fail to complete secondary school, with Mozambique and Madagascar experiencing even higher rates, surpassing 50%. This educational deficit underscores a pressing issue that impedes the realization of individual potential and hinders broader economic development. However, amid these challenges, a set of promising long-term trends is emerging. Rapid urbanization, increasing migration and remittances, a growing enrollment of children in schools, and a substantial number of students pursuing higher education abroad paint a hopeful picture. These trends, when examined collectively, offer reasons for optimism. An overarching lesson gleaned from these patterns is that they often reinforce one another, creating a potential virtuous cycle. Countries endowed with capable bureaucracies and open democratic systems tend to perform better economically and prioritize investments in education. Strengthened economies, in turn, contribute to the deceleration of population growth and improvements in dependency ratios. By leveraging these interconnected trends, Africa has the potential to overcome existing challenges and chart a course toward a future marked by increased educational attainment, economic prosperity, and demographic stability. What are your thoughts on the diverse economic trajectories of African nations discussed in this video? Share your insights and perspectives in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on Live Economic News. If you found this video informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insightful updates on economic trends.